Sports Podcast. I'm your boy Sean Lugo. I got Kyle and Brian in the house. How you guys doing tonight, boys?
Doing well, doing well. How are you?
Living the dream, living the dream. Kyle, how about you, baby?
Well, that could be better, man. Not a good Monday for Bears fans, man. But you know what?
Hey,
We should be used to it.
I was gonna say Wednesday's time to turn that page. We got to look forward to this Sunday on the lakefront. 2-1 and 2 teams are gonna do battles. But before we get into that, we got to talk about our event coming up Monday at Joe's on Weed Street at 940 West Weed Street in Chicago, Illinois. They have great prizes. It's hosted by Ray McElroy, former Bears DB. Trax will be out there interviewing special guests. It's a watch party, and it's a fundraiser for Ray of Hope on Earth. So get out there, check it out. Let's have some fun. Monday Night Football. And Trax also has wants one of our wonderful sponsors, Elite Icons, Westmont, Illinois, Tuesday, October 1st. Trax will be on site, the head boss in charge. He'll be interviewing Keenan Allen. There's an autograph signing there. Check out online, Elite Icon. See if you can get tickets, get that autograph, get to meet Keenan Allen out there. Boys, we got some injuries coming into this game that unfortunately something that just rose to fruition at practice. And I have been saying that I think something has been wrong with Darnell Wright. I think I've told you this, Kyle. He's either slow, getting out of his stance. He doesn't know the snap count, so he's not jumping off the line at the right time. I don't know. Maybe he's had this back injury that's popped up. But it does seem, from the words of our fearless leader, Matt Eberflus, that the Bears will have two options. Nate Davis at right guard, Pryor at right tackle, or Pryor at right guard, and third round pick Hiron Amadaji on the right side. Gentlemen, I am against Karan. He has not played football in a year. He's barely been with this team. He missed training camp. I don't want to see him out there. I think if you say, can things go from bad to worse? Yeah, absolutely. By putting this kid out there who's not ready to play football. Brian, talk to me about it. What do you got?
Absolutely. I did see that Pryor came out and said the plan for him is to stay at guard at this point. So I don't think that he's going to be playing any tackle, even though I think he's the better option there. I'm hoping Darnell Wright is able to play, but you're right. The first thing that you said was slow, and that's why he's been playing all year. I mean, he's just like he's a shade behind the defensive end every snap. I mean, if he gets him, it's just because of length. It's I really don't know what other option they have. Is Larry Borum still available? Can we go get him?
He's on the team.
Is he still on the team?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
He's on practice squad. Yeah, then that's the best option.
Yeah. What you got here, man?
Yeah, Sean, I agree with you on one thing. I think Karan would be an absolute disaster. I mean, if you're putting a guy in your lineup, starting offensive lineman who is literally barely practiced at all, was not there in training camp, had a major injury coming out of Yale. The Bears knew that when they drafted him. I mean, that to me is, yeah, you're right, Sean. That's called the worst case scenario. I mean, rock meat bottom. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I don't really know what the options are either. Like Brian said, I mean, when Matt Eberflus was asked about it, he was kind of vague in his response. He gave up a couple options, like you said, Sean. They might put Nate Davis back in a guard there and move Matt Pryor over to tackle. But what Brian just said, I guess that's not going to happen. I don't really know who would be the next guy up. I don't know. I mean, but right now, guys, the one part of this team that cannot sustain any injuries or can't survive an injury would be the offensive line. I mean, it's already been bad. It's awful. It's been bad this point of the season. I mean, they allowed 7 sacks against Houston. They allowed 4 sacks last week against Indy. I mean, that's just not a good recipe for success for the Chicago Bears right now.
I really like D. Burns' comment here. The offensive line coach is trash. Every single lineman we play is not good. You know what? I've been banging on Chris Morgan the last few days, last couple of weeks, man, and I happen to agree with you, D. I can't stand this guy. He's got a very punchable face, too. I just
face.
He just hasn't done anything. He hasn't elevated this offensive line. It's been 3 years. I'm very disappointed in the fact that he actually got a bump up to offensive, running game coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, man, whatever. I'm so done with Chris Morgan and his development of players on this team at this particular moment.
What Brando?
What's going on, Brandon? What's going on, 4 stars? Elizabeth, D, we just got to you. Bears Junkie, Bruce in the house. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us.
I mean, Sean, real quick, I want to say Chris Morgan. I mean, if anybody in the world in all of sports in general right now deserves to get fired, how is it not Chris Morgan? I mean, Ryan Poles and Ian Cunningham, the general manager and assistant general manager of the Chicago Bears, these guys were offensive linemen. They're bringing offensive linemen here to tell Chris Morgan to develop them or make them better. And he couldn't be any worse. I mean, you guys go look at Lucas Patrick was one of the top ranked players in Pro Football Focus in the NFL this year. Bears, he looked like trash on the Bears. Sam Mustipher looked a lot better on the Baltimore Ravens than he did the Chicago Bears. I mean, Darnell Wright is not developing the way we want him to develop. Braxton Jones never took like the leap we thought he was going to take. Tevin Jenkins seems to be regressing. I mean, honestly, could it get any worse for Chris? If you called Chris Morgan in the office and said, "Hey, tell us why you should keep your job," what does he have? How can he possibly respond? It couldn't get any worse. Oh, I only allowed 4 sacks last week instead of 7. Oh, thanks, Chris. We appreciate it, man. I mean, it's awful, man. This is it's worst case scenario.
The only slack that I ever give him is because he ends up with the same 5 guys. I mean, rotating centers, and the other 4. It's
right.
like, I mean,
but Brian,
that's the
you
slack that I give him. It's like, how coachable are these guys to begin with?
You'd have to figure that he's probably a big reason why they're rotating those guys, like moving Cody Whitehair around. I mean, I'm assuming ultimately that's his decision, right? He's the offensive line coach. I would hope that's his decision. I would hope there's not somebody else telling him to do that. Then why even have an offensive line coach? I do.
Darnell Wright was supposed to be the best offensive lineman in last year's draft. I mean, according to what's that guy's name that everybody wanted to be the GM for a while. I think he played for the Lions or something like that back in the day.
The guy who had the problem, he was on the Cowboys too, right?
Yeah, was it?
God,
what's it, Reddick?
He was the Bears team coordinator for a little bit. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, he said he would have took him number 1 overall last year. It was like, and then you look at it and it's like, how much is Chris Morgan developing him? Like, Kyle was saying, does Darnell Wright actually, I mean, then you have the back injury, stuff like that just appear out of the blue, but does he actually have the ability to learn and move on? Is this Chris Morgan, or did they just draft a lemon? It's right. I don't know what's there or what's not, without seeing them in practice. It's kind of really hard to say. I mean, that's the only slack that I can give Chris Morgan, but I mean, that's not a lot of slack. I mean, so at some point, one of these guys has got to get better under your coaching.
Yeah, and it'd be one thing if these guys were leaving the Bears and still looked atrocious on other teams, but obviously they weren't being coached properly here. These guys are. I mean, I think Sean, wasn't it at one point in the season, did Lucas Patrick not have the highest Pro Football Focus grading of anybody in the NFL?
I think last week.
Yeah, I think he was the highest of anybody in the NFL.
Here, can I tell you this? James Daniels and Lucas Patrick were both in the top 5, both former Chicago Bears this year so far.
Wouldn't you guys like to have a conversation with one of Lucas Patrick, Sam Mustipher, and be like, "Hey, tell me how was it on the Bears? Tell me what went on there." Like, I would love to hear what those guys have to say. Like, if they were like, "Oh my God, talk about where offensive linemen go to die." Like, that's what the response I would expect from one of those guys. I mean, it's not good. There is some good injury news though, right, Sean?
There is, because Keenan Allen is hopefully set to return. And they said without any major setbacks here, man, he's going to be back. And you know what? That's really good news for number 18 under center. He's going to have that guy who can get out, knows where to find the open spot. He can get that ball out. Because, guys, you have to realize that getting the ball out was a major concern for him. But I believe he's averaging about 2.5 seconds right now getting the ball out. So that's not the issue. He only has about 1.5 seconds with this offensive line. That's the biggest issue. So you know what? Having Keenan Allen there, just adding another weapon. I mean, you even saw it last week, Brian. You were there with Cole Kmet. I mean, Cole Kmet was everywhere. Finally got integrated into this offense. I think I can't remember. You had like an 80% target share, 83% last week. I mean, for the love, we've been begging for that. What did you see when you were there, Brian, looking at Cole Kmet?
Absolutely. It's the same thing. Every time he, like on the goal line and stuff like that, you see Everett come in. It's like, come on, no, this is going to blow up in your face. And then all game long, I'm sitting there screaming from the stands, Cole's open, whether he got it or not. He was wide open. He would find that soft spot and just sit down. I mean, he had 10 yards all day if he just locked in on him, and then understandably so, early on, though, they kept putting that linebacker on Dunze. So you got to take advantage of that. That guy was never going to hold up. But Cole Kmet, yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, every Bears fan has been screaming for this for 3 weeks. I mean, then you go to the game and, that you can see, I mean, you're holding your own camera at this point. You see that he's open every play. That guy would have better numbers than anybody in the league right now if they just look at him more or just use him. I don't know who's the fault for that. I don't know if Caleb Williams just hasn't, grown that rapport with him yet or not, or it's Shane Waldron's just saying, hey, throw to these other guys. But right. I mean, there's something there. Then, I mean, hopefully it was Williams, and hopefully he just found out that the guy's always open.
Yeah, I think Cole. I mean, Kyle, I think you would agree because we've talked about this. I think getting Cole Kmet active in this often, early and often, is only going to help. And a tight end is a rookie quarterback's best friend normally in the NFL. So what did you see with this offense, with Cole Kmet getting into the action last week and finally being able to open that part of the offense up through Shane Waldron's great game calling?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Brian said, the Bears fans have been screaming for this for the last 2 weeks. And, we would hope that Ryan Poles would be as well. He's the guy who just gave before your extension for millions of dollars, just made him the ninth highest paid tight end in football. You would think he'd be like, hey, man, that guy needs to be involved. We just paid him. And you know what? For a season in which it looks like all tight ends are lost and struggling, it looks like Cole Kmet was mighty comfortable on Sunday. And like Brian said, he had 97 yards and a touchdown, but he was open a lot more often than that. He could have had a massive game. But I don't blame Caleb Williams. He's just trying to survive. He's trying to find his guys. He's more comfortable. It looks like he's more comfortable with Rome than anybody else right now. Mm-hmm. But I think it is going to be huge. This Keenan Allen injury news, they're saying he's probably going to play on Sunday. I think that's huge for Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. I think Keenan Allen was probably one of the best third down targets in the NFL throughout his career. I think he's kind of a security blanket for a rookie quarterback, especially if it's a struggling quarterback. I think he's going to give him, they looked like they had a connection and they had some rapport week one with those quick outs on the sideline. Obviously, Keenan Allen dropped that touchdown, but they looked like they were the most comfortable with each other in week one. And I expect that to continue when Keenan Allen gets back on the field.
Flipping back to the offensive line, which we were just talking about, it's just rolling around in my head here. I don't like anything from Missouri, but Larry Borom seemed to have a good training camp. I found it mighty weird that his name was not brought up because right now our line depth is, I mean, you're telling me that Karan is doing better than Larry Borom at this point?
It's not believable.
What is happening?
Yeah, I mean, he is still on the Chicago Bears, and I believe he's on their active roster, guys. I think he is their number one backup besides Karan. So I don't know, man. You guys it would be awesome. I don't know if I'd necessarily like to see it, but how amazing would it be if they put Karan in and this guy was just like an all-pro, amazing stud, was everything we were looking for, throwing people aside, attitude, mean. That would be awesome. But I'll tell you this, if he comes in and he plays poorly, the Chicago fan base, they're going to destroy him, especially since he was a third round pick. They're going to destroy him. And I don't think that's fair to him. I think the guy has had barely any chance at all to have any type of cohesiveness with the rest of this line. And he hasn't really even practiced the scheme at all. I think he'd be in no man's land.
Yeah. Take all the credit in the world for that one, wouldn't he?
Yeah, right? Then you'd be like, see, I told you I was a good coach.
Yeah. Now what you doing, Darnell Wright?
Honestly, I mean, Darnell Wright was really, really good last year, and that's why I was questioning. They were saying in training camp he was having these same issues, and that's why I was always wondering, like, man, is there something wrong with this guy? Does he have some kind of injury? Because I'll be honest, we all talked about this. And if I'm not mistaken, Jalen Carter was passed up, and it was Darnell Wright. And I don't know if anyone actually watched that Saints-Philly game, but Jalen Carter this past weekend had the game of his freaking life, man. I mean, I think he
dominated the Eagles.
Pressures.
The Saints.
Yeah. He's definitely the one that got away.
Well, what's crazy, guys, is if you in that single game, that one game against the Saints, you see why everybody loved him so much and why the people are saying the Bears should have drafted him. And then come to the end of the game, and you're like, well, that's why Ryan Poles didn't draft him. He was causing a ruck. He wanted to go on the field and fight. He had 3 coaches holding him back. I'm assuming the coaches probably gave him some sort of talking to after the game in the locker room. I mean, he looked like he was trying to start a ruckus. And at that point, the Eagles had themselves in a good position and were trying to win that game. And if Jalen Carter would have caused a penalty right there, that would have ruined the Eagles game. So it's good that the coaches got him under control. Obviously, that guy has some anger issues of some sort because, man, it literally took 3 coaches to restrain him on Sunday, and he could have ruined that game easily. So as well as he, oh, you didn't see that at the end of the game?
No,
Did you see that, Brian?
I did not. No, I didn't. Get
Oh
to watch
yeah,
it.
man! At the end of the game, Jalen Carter starts throwing up some sort of gang signs or something. And he's screaming at all the Saints on the field. He's on the sideline screaming at the Saints defense. I'm assuming he's talking trash, but it took 3 coaches. 3 coaches had to pull him aside and pull him off and put him down on the bench and start talking to him. And he got up again and went back to the field and started picking on guys again. And they pulled him aside again. And finally, I think they actually ended up walking him off the field before the game ended. But if you guys, once this cast is over, go check it out, man. It was all over the news. I mean, it was on NFL Network. It was all over the place.
Yeah,
coming of Albert Hainsworth there, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I can't believe I missed that, man.
He looks like he's a little bit of a head case, man, and that was kind of one of the knocks on him coming into the draft. So far, it looks like he's that guy.
I wanted to just touch on the Rams. Obviously, coming into this game, they have a terrible defense. It's ranked almost dead last. I think they're 31st out of 32 teams in total defense. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of what we faced last week, up by 65 south in Indianapolis, and it didn't work out so good for us. I mean, it did work out well for Caleb Williams. He had 363 passing yards, so on and so forth. Finished the game 15-19, 133 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 130 quarterback rating, so on and so forth. Jared Verse is the guy that I'm keying on, the rookie going into his 4th game of the season. He's got a PFF grade of 75.4. He's got an 81.3 grade against the run, 63 against the pass, but he does have 13 pressures, 3 quarterback hits, 9 hurries, a sack, a forced fumble, 8 tackles, and 6 assisted tackles. With the Bears blocking problems that have reared their ugly head here in these first couple of games, do you think this rookie is a guy that can blow this game up and change the trajectory from a win to a loss for the Chicago Bears? Kyle, what do you think?
Oh, I'd like to hope not. I mean, Jared Verse is a good player. He's going to be a good player in the NFL for a long time. But if you look at their defensive line overall, especially a guy like Braden Fisk, who's also drafted this past year, their defensive line is struggling, man. And you know what? That's just to be expected, guys. It's the same thing we've been saying about Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze. I mean, these rookies there's growing pains. It's hard to adjust the NFL. These are the best of the best of the best in the world. It's a tough league. And these offensive linemen they're facing on a week in, week out basis are not the same as the offensive linemen they're facing in college. Now, Jared Verse has made an impact, but even if he has a couple sacks in this game, I don't think that would be enough to blow up the game and the Bears to lose. So, I mean, it would have to be like a 5-6 sack day, kind of like Danielle Hunter was doing against the Wizards. That'd be something like that. And for just how young he is and where he is in his career, I don't think that's possible for him. And that's no disrespect to Jared Verse at all, because honestly, I think that was one of the best picks in the draft, to be honest with you. I mean, that were probably the best value. Where did he end up going? He ended up going like what, 15?
Yeah, he was after Fisk was first.
I personally had Jared Verse as the best defensive player in this draft. That's who I would have taken first if I was in this drafting defense. But it worked out for the Rams, man. He fell and they took him, and he's going to be a good player. But I mean, ultimately, Sean, if you look at this game on paper, I mean, the Rams secondary is absolutely atrocious, guys. I mean, it's bad. One of the worst in the NFL, and maybe one of the worst I've seen in a long time. I mean, Juwan Jennings, who people were like, is he the second string receiver this week? Is he the third string receiver this week? Well, he had 175 yards and 3 touchdowns. So I'd say he's probably the second or first string receiver when Deebo Samuel is out. And, it's not like, I mean, Brandon Ayuk had some big plays. I mean, they just can't cover anybody, guys. If you're DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, or Rome Odunze, you should be chomping at the bits here, man. I mean, these guys, they want to get in there and they want to show who they are. This is the game to do it. And I think Caleb Williams is going to find a lot of success on Sunday. The only thing that scares me, guys, is the chess battle between Sean McVay and Matt Eberflus. Unfortunately, that is the one part of this game where I think Sean and the Rams have a very good special teams as well. So the Bears special teams are going to have to show up today because, man, those guys keep making play after play after play after play. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I think I've got the Rams winning this game. It's completely on the coaches to me and the quarterback. Matthew Stafford is a seasoned vet. He knows how to find these guys. And Sean McVay's just too savvy. I think he's going to outsmart them a little bit on that game plan. Jared Verse doesn't concern me at all. I think if Bears have showed anything, they're going to put 4 guys on him and let everybody else go. So it's probably going to be the other guys that are going to eat versus Jared Verse. So they'll block one guy and everybody else be a free run.
Some guy we've never heard of will have 6 sacks on the Bears.
Right. But yeah, like Kyle was saying, I think of the Rams. I got them down as the 29th against tight ends. If anybody should get some balls, it's Cole Kmet. If they going back to what we were saying, if they just explore that Cole Kmet experience right there, I mean, the Bears have a shot. I mean, the Bears should win this game, but I mean, as of right now, I'll pick the Rams to win.
Brian, Sean and I were talking about earlier. I just want to ask you your opinion. So obviously, the Rams. First of all, the run defense isn't great as well. I mean, they're not the worst in the league, but they're not great. The Rams obviously have a terrible secondary. They've been giving hemorrhaging yards to receivers and tight ends. But what kind of balance would you like to see for the run game and the pass game? And keep in mind, Roschon Johnson averaged 3.8 yards per carry last week, which means that Roschon actually ultimately, I mean, if you average 4 yards a carry, you get a first down every 3 runs. So I mean, I think they looked better last week than they did the first 2 weeks. What do you think?
They definitely did. Roschon was definitely the catalyst of all that. I'd like to see balance, but I also see them to stop sending Swift up the middle. That thing has got to stop. And I'm not talking about, your 4th and goal. Let's go ahead and run this read option to the left, lose 12 yards. What was that? But I mean, Roschon's got to be the guy. I mean, he really does. Herbert, he's even better between the tackles than Swift, but that's not his game. So it really just depends on which backs that they're going to play and which ones they got in there. But if they're going to lean on Swift a little bit more, then I'd like to see them, run up outside the tackles, or get a couple screen passes. Do what the old New England Patriots did. Just use that screen pass as an extension of the run game.
White. What was his name? White. What was his name?
Oh yeah.
What was his first name? White on the Patriots. The guy who did so much. James White. What was his name?
James White. Yep, James White.
Right.
Yeah, Kevin White just kept popping.
Dude, he was a fantasy monster for me. Yeah. I love that guy, dude.
What sucks is I think DeAndre Swift is capable of being that type of player, but not the way the Bears are using him.
Not the way the Bears are just using him wrong. And I mean, I'm not, absolving him of any blame of this. The dude's got to get stronger legs. But I mean, he's got to hit the gym a little bit or something. But I mean, he catches the ball and he's quick. But I mean, it really just depends on how they call it. So, I mean, if they're going to, if they have any intention of exploiting this Rams defense, they got to start Roschon.
Well, Brian, where the Rams defense has struggled against the run is on the outside. End arounds, QB design runs on the outside. That's where they've struggled the most, man. For sure.
Yeah, but you pass for points, you run to win. So
that's true.
I mean, they definitely need to get that passing game going though too.
That was very well said, Brian. That's like the rule of thumb in the NFL. If you want to win games in the NFL, man.
Hey guys, before we move on to the next question, I just want to remind everyone about Monday night, Joe's on Weed Street, 940 West Weed Street in Chicago. A Raid for Hope. It's a great fundraiser, hosted by Ray McElroy, former Bears DB. Trax will be out there interviewing the guests. And please don't forget one of our favorite newest sponsors. Trax will be out Tuesday, October 1st in Westmont at Elite Icons. He's going to be with Keenan Allen. He's going to have a little interview with them. There's an opportunity for everybody to get out there and get an autograph. I think it's a little bit of a smaller show, so you have to get a reservation. Get out there, support the show, support Keenan Allen, support Elite Icons. Hit that like and subscribe. We appreciate everybody in the chat. Boys, last week we saw our quarterback drop back from, 60 times? 60 times, 57, 60, something right in there?
60.
It was 60 on the head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right now, the Bears are averaging 5.3 yards per passing attempt. We're playing a team that's giving up 9.8, which is the most in the NFL. We just talked about establishing the run. What would be your guys' favorite way to attack this porous defense? Is it get the ball out quick to Kmet and Allen, just move the chains chunk by chunk, run the ball, play action, attack over the top? What do you guys see? How do you see the Bears attacking this awful secondary? They're giving up double the yards in which we're able to get so far. So this should be what I'm thinking, and what I'm seeing is the last 17 minutes, the way Caleb Williams was, 13 to 17, 133 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. I'm kind of liking that, but I like the balance. Maybe 28 passes, 25 runs, something like that. Brian, how do you want the Bears to attack this porous secondary and move the ball into the red zone?
Well, given our offensive line, I say quick reads, 10 yards, 15 yards, stay there, stay home. And then, if there's something that's, just comes available, whatever, and they stop rushing, burn them downfield, then just take the pass rush away, I guess, by running up the middle. That's how I would do it. Just kind of pick your poison, especially if we get Keenan Allen back. Put him in the slot. Rome's been doing good outside. DJ Moore, he's solid. He's pretty much a yak guy at this point, just getting the ball. And, not one guy in the league is going to bring him down. He's going to need 2. That's why, when he caught that Hail Mary towards the, right the end of the second quarter, I was like, this guy's going to get in. And then they just gang tackled him all together. I was like, come on.
You want to know? That was almost a miracle he didn't score a touchdown there. Like,
I know.
Come on. How much more bad luck can the Bears have, for the love of Christ?
But yeah, that's what I would do. Just a lot of quick reads, no more than 15 yards, keep it in there, and just pick them apart. That defense does not scare anybody. It doesn't. It doesn't scare them in practice, and they know the plays. So it's that's the I guess the way to do it. As far as getting their getting our offense or their defense against their offense. I don't know if they actually have receivers to do anything. They're probably just going to keep running the ball against us.
Yeah.
So we got to stop that run. Unlike last week, that was a train wreck. But I imagine Sean McVay's going to do that a lot. So, it's going to be a run-heavy offense. And then when they see an opportunity, Matthew Stafford's going to take his shot.
Yeah, through 3 weeks, the Bears are giving up 121 yards a game on the ground. So it's a good point, Brian. What do you think, Kyle? How should the Bears attack this porous defense of the?
Well, I like what Billy Flores says here. Give the ball to Roschon Johnson. Well, that's what I would do early, guys. On the first couple of drives of this game, I would take Roschon Johnson and pound him up the middle. And if they can't find any room in there, Roschon Johnson's still going to get you 2-3 yards of carry. He's going to fall forward every time. That's so easy. He's a big back. Yep. If that's not working, I know it sounds crazy, guys. Even if there's a couple 3-and-outs to start the game for the Bears, stick to it. You're at home. This game's going to end up being close no matter what. The Bears are going to be in it. They're going to have a chance to win. So keep pounding Roschon. Even if you get those 3.8 yards per carry, that's enough to keep the defense confused. It's enough to keep them on their heels. They don't know what you're going to do. They don't know if you're still going to commit to the run or going to start passing the ball. I would like to see a heavy balance of run and pass here, but I would like to see a little more. Like I'd say around 36 passes and 20 or 30, 31 runs. That would be nice if the Bears can get that many plays. I think this defense is a perfect get-right game for the Bears. I know we said that last week because the Colts couldn't stop the run. They gave up 500 yards rushing in the first 2 weeks, and the Bears couldn't run the ball. But the Bears also abandoned the run very early in that game. They ended up throwing, like you said, Sean, I think they dropped Caleb Williams back 60 times. That's too much for a rookie quarterback. If you look at the Rams so far this season, they're also a 1-2 team, guys, coming into this game, and they beat San Fran last week, but they should have lost that game. San Fran, like Dustin likes to say, San Fran snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. San Fran was the better team statistically on paper in every statistical category in that game. They kind of won. It would have been like the Bears winning that, it's like how the Colts beat the Bears last week. The Colts had no business winning that game. If you look at the Rams so far this season, Matt Stafford in 3 games has thrown for 221 yards, 216 yards, 317 yards. He only has 2 touchdowns in the season. Guys, that's not the Matthew Stafford I knew, and that's not the Matthew Stafford that played the Lions against the Bears for years. He's been pretty pedestrian this year. If you look at Kyren Williams, he's ran for 50 yards, 25 yards, 89 yards, and even the 89-yard game, it took him 24 carries to get there. The Rams don't scare you on offense right now. They don't scare you on defense right now. This is a game the Bears should win at home. They have no Puka Nacua. They have no Cooper Kupp. They have no Tyler Higbee. There's no excuses for this game. The Bears should beat this team. And I'm saying if you just continue to commit to the run, open up the pass a little bit, maybe even the RPOs or stuff like this stuff. Throw the defense off a little bit, maybe even move Caleb Williams around a little bit. There's absolutely no reason the Bears should win this game. I personally, Brian, I do think it's probably watching the Bears through 3 games this season. I understand why people are picking the Rams. I totally do. But for me personally, I think the Bears win this game 20-17.
I got 21-17 Rams. I just think it's coaching. It's just going to outweigh it.
Yeah, coaching is going to matter.
Game, it's strictly because of coaching.
Yeah, and if that continues to happen, you need to fire him in season.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do think that McVay is going to try and take the run away, drop that safety down in the box. I just don't know that they have the bodies on the defensive side of the ball to be able to do that. I know the Bears haven't showed much either. I believe it's one way or the other. The Colts are giving up $177 on the ground, and the Rams are giving up 179, or vice versa. They're the 2 worst rush defenses in the league. The Bears should assert their dominance on the ground, get this going, quick passes. I got the Bears winning this game 24-17. Maybe a little bit too many points for the Rams. The Rams offense is averaging 19 points. Their defense is giving up 30. The Bears defense is giving up right now 19 points a game. So it's kind of a wash right in there. I mean, if it seems that the Rams have 6 touchdowns on the ground or on the year, and 5 of them are for Kyren Williams. So if you take Kyren Williams out of this football game, maybe the Bears can shut him out. I just don't have that confidence in the staff as of yet. And like you said, Brian, I mean, it's definitely McVay's definitely going to win the head games here, man. He's definitely the best coach in this game on the sideline. So I like the Bears. I don't really have a basis of saying, yeah, the Bears are going to win this game 100%, because honestly, in my eyes, the Bears should be coming in this game 2-1. They should be leaving this game 3-1. So I'm gonna remain hopeful that we get this win on the lakefront come this Sunday afternoon, and we're all eating victory chicken on Monday.
Well, I mean, the key here, guys, is 2 things. I mean, first of all, run the ball. I mean, we've said this 3 times now. The Bears haven't done it. They've only had 1 win, and the offense did nothing to deserve that win. Second thing, don't turn the ball over. Like, I love Caleb Williams. I think he's developing quickly. I think he's going to be a very good player in this league for a very long time. I have no Caleb Williams is the least of my worries for the Chicago Bears.
Oh, I know.
But you cannot throw those passes he threw last week. You got to make
Don't give gifts.
Yep, you got to throw those balls away. You cannot throw that ball across the field late. We saw him do it. You know, they said that they want him to do 1 hitch and throw the ball. He did 3. You can't do that stuff in the NFL. These guys are too fast. They can read your eyes. They know it's coming. If the Bears want to win this game, no turnovers, or limit the turnovers and run the ball, and you'll win this game, because I really am not, the Rams do nothing to scare me, neither on offense or defense. And normally the Rams would scare the hell out of me, but you take away Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and Tyler Higbee, and they look like a pretty pedestrian team, guys.
I mean, and I will say this. The Rams, well, they got dog walked by Arizona. They came back against San Francisco. They took Detroit to the limit in opening day. So on the road. So, and again, Sean McVay is probably the difference, because this guy's a mad genius. Don't take this game lightly, man. The Bears have lost 3 straight to the Rams. It'd be nice to get off that schneid and come home with the victory come this Sunday. D Burns says, I don't care who's over there. McVay's going to have this offense rolling. And you know, if you think about it, I mean, they're still averaging 19 points. It's almost 3 touchdowns a game. I mean, it's not like.
Well, I mean, Sean, you said they're averaging 19 points, and we're allowing 19 points. We should all pick them to score 19 points. I mean, but you guys, I just think, and I like the Rams. I've always liked the Rams. I like Sean McVay a lot. I like the Greatest Show on Turf is one of my favorite teams of all time. But you guys, I just think eventually, if you can't give a coach the tools to succeed, it's like if you ask a carpenter to build a house, but you only give him a screwdriver and a hammer, he's not going to get very far. You know, you need a lot more tools than that. You know, it's like you're not going to keep winning with Tutu Atwell, Demarcus Robinson, and Whittington, whatever his name is. These guys, you need those guys back. They need Cooper Kupp back. They need Puka Nacua back. They need Tyler Higbee back. And until that happens, I think they're going to start losing games here. And it's going to start at home or at Soldier Field with the Chicago Bears. I really do believe that.
Yeah, they playing Chicago. They got to have two wide receivers, because Johnson's going to shut one up completely down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
so and you know what, Sean and I were
going to have a good game.
Sean and I were talking earlier, Brian. If you go look at the numbers, Kyler Gordon has been absolutely phenomenal against slot receivers this year. Absolutely phenomenal. And the reason you're not hearing Kyler Gordon's name, even as well as he's played, It's because he's not allowing them to catch anything. So you're not hearing his name. I think this Bears secondary is dangerous. It's
They are.
more and more dangerous every week.
Gordon's a dog, man.
Going into this, dude, the Bears are coming in as the 8th ranked pass defense in the league. They're only giving up a buck 65.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, I expect them to be locked down and take this run away. Big game from Andrew Billings. Get Kyron Williams out of this game. Just stop him. Just please win. I don't know what else to say. Just please, God, we cannot lose to this team. It's almost impossible for the Bears to lose this game.
Whoa. Don't say that.
Listen, this is the second week in a row. We are the more talented team on the field. We cannot lose this game, too. We're going to be the more talented team on the field next week as well. The Bears.
I think you guys know this. We've all been watching football for a long time. There is a monumental, huge, massive difference between 2-2 and 1-3. I mean,
yes,
it's not. If you go 1-3, your chances of making the playoffs drop dramatically. The Bears have to win this game. I think they're going to do it in front of the home crowd. I really do. I honestly believe that. I think Caleb Williams is going to take another step forward this week. I expect somewhere around 260 to 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think the Bears can win this game. And to be honest with you guys, like Sean said, if the Bears defense that we know is capable of shows up on Sunday, the Bears defense that is shut down, locked down, I think they can limit the Rams to field goals, and the Rams might end up scoring something like 10, 13 points. That's best case scenario for us. But if that happens, the Bears are going to win this football game. No doubt about it.
Can I just say for my fantasy team, can Kyron Williams get 1 touchdown?
Sean, Bears first before fantasy. Bears over fantasy.
Well, if we're up 24-0, can we at least win 24-7 so Williams can give me a touchdown? No, you're right. Bears first, fantasy second. I'll take the loss in every fantasy league I'm in for the Bears to be 2-2. I will go on record and say that.
All right, guys. Unfortunately, it's going to be a short show tonight. Brian, is there anything else you wanted to say before we get out of here?
No. I mean, I really ain't got anything other than shout out to Caleb Williams. He's the first or the most passing yards in 10 years, I guess, for the Bears.
Yeah. And Rome Odunze, rookie receiver in his third game. He's got a
first touchdown.
Yeah,
I want to end up with that ball.
Hey, quick shout out too to our 3. And I don't know if we did this here. Our 3 Hall of Fame nominees: Briggs, Tillman, and Kreutz. So we got those guys. Hopefully, they all deserve to get in. So let's do it.
I'll let Sean pay the bills, but you guys, I do want to say thank you to all the listeners. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. We appreciate Burning Tracks High for letting us do this. Everybody, all you guys out there. I don't know who's on there right now, but Harris, Bruce, all the usual suspects. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for leaving all those comments. It makes the show a lot better for us, a lot easier for us. Without you guys, there would be no us. Sean, do you want to pay some bills before we get out of here?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget Monday, Joe's on Weed Street. Brendan Tracks Hyatt, the chief in charge. He will be out there, 940 West Weed Street, Chicago, Illinois. Fundraiser, former Bear Ray McElroy. Raising money for Ray of Hope on Earth. Get out there. It's a great fundraiser. $25 a person to get in. That money, again, is going to a great charity. October 1st, Icon Elites, Westmont, Brandon Tracks Hyatt again. He'll be out there. Have a quick interview with Keenan Allen, and then he'll scribble his name on some memorabilia for you guys. So get out there.
And then, you guys, the usual sponsors we always like to shout out. You guys know Bridges Scoreboard, River Street Tavern, Serendipity, Underdog Fantasy. We appreciate everybody and all the help they've given us and helped Burning Tracks on this podcast get to this point. We really appreciate all you guys, man.
And the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. I got 24-17. Kyle, you got 2017. Brian, you have 2017 Rams.
21-17 Rams, yeah.
21-17 Rams. That's our picks.
Brian was looking over my shoulder at my paperwork.
That's what it was.
I'm just kidding.
We're gonna unpack all this next week. Hopefully, when the Bears are 2-2.
Bear down, guys. Let's go. 2-2.
We'll check you guys out next
Brian,
week.
stop going to Bears games.
Right.
Hey, Kyle, we're 1-0, baby.
Yep, that's right.
I'm like 5-2.
All right, Brian, you can go to Bears game.
Until next week, everybody. Peace and love. Hit that like and subscribe. Tell your friends. We'll talk to you guys soon. Stay safe out there.
2-2, baby. 2-2.